So, I made 3D Tetris for the Game Boy Advance, and I'm so happy to see this thing actually work. It is something I wanted to do for quite a while. In fact, this was actually the first thing I ever tried to do on the Game Boy Advance. Because a year ago, I actually made a 3D version of Tetris in JavaScript as a fun project. And when I thought about creating a game for the Game Boy Advance, this is the game that I tried to port. But at that time I had no idea how to do 3D on the Game Boy Advance and how to make something like this a reality. So I ended up porting another game, and then some time passed. And there was this one moment, this very one crazy moment, where I suddenly had the idea of porting Minecraft to the Game Boy Advance. And at that time, I never thought that this would get anywhere. But this was so much fun, and I spent more and more time on it until I got it to work. And I learned so much about how 3D stuff works on the Game Boy Advance. And by the way, if you haven't watched my videos on this project, you definitely should do it. So recently I just had a moment where I thought, why should I use this knowledge only for one project? So yeah, I basically tried again to port the 3D version of Tetris to the Game Boy Advance, and I used a face-based renderer, and yeah. Here we are. This thing runs pretty well, but only at the beginning. If there are a bit more blocks in the game, it starts to have some performance issues. And I have a few ideas how I can get this fixed, but it will take some time. But if we talk about the gameplay, it is very interesting because this thing actually works. You can rotate the cameras with the L and R buttons, and this is really required because in some situations you really need to look from the other side to see what you're doing. And I've made it so it should always feel intuitive to move the blocks, so the controls actually adjust to your camera position. And there's a shadow of the block, and you can actually press the A button to rotate the block with the arrow keys while you hold the button. And you can use the B button to fast drop the blocks, and you can also use the select button to instantly drop the block. You also have to create full lines to progress, and this game is actually pretty hard, but it's still pretty fun to play it and try it out. And at this moment, this version is super basic. I want to update this a bit more, make the performance better, add sound effects, add a bit nicer visual styles, make more skyboxes and other things. And when I do this, I will post the code so everyone can compile it and work with this themselves. But really, at the moment, it's not the best version yet. And that's why I'm not doing a public release yet. But if you want to play something else, I also have a free post on Patreon where you can actually play my Minecraft version for the Game Boy Advance. And by the way, before you write it in the comments, I know about the Virtual Boy version, but I only found out recently. So I haven't really looked at it that much, but it's very fun to see that something like this also exists. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, then you should definitely watch the video where I made Mario Maker for the Game Boy Advance.